Some people might be freaked out by this, and some people might say, no way, you're crazy, and then some of you probably already did this. Like, that is something I would do different. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be kind of a little reminiscing and a little different actually. I had this idea the other day. I was reminiscing about, giving birth, going through the breastfeeding phases and newborn stages of Sydney's life, and I was thinking to myself, okay, so I was a first-time mother, still am, but that was the first time I've ever been through that experience. What would I do differently? There were definitely things that I would change or do differently. Not that I regret everything that I did at all, but I think if I have another child, if I'm blessed enough to be able to have another child of my own, there will definitely be things that I do differently. So I hope you guys enjoy this type of video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. So if you guys want to see everything that I would do differently next time around, when I am pregnant, when I give birth, newborn stage, basically everything up until now. If you want to see what I would do differently the second time around, then keep on watching. All right, so first let's start with pregnancy. So the first thing that I would do differently if I have another child is not stress so much about my weight gain. I was so stressed about weight gain, and I had to stick within that perfect recommended 25 to 35 pounds weight gain, and I did. I gained 28 pounds, and she actually came 3 weeks early, so I probably would have been on the higher end of that recommendation there. But I was so, I indulge sometimes. I was so obsessive over it a lot of times. Like in the beginning, it didn't really matter because I was too sick to even, I didn't want to eat or anything like that. Once I got to my second trimester, I wanted all the foods. They tasted so good, they smelled so good, they were so appealing to me. But I sort of just always had it in my head that I needed to be careful because I didn't want to gain too much weight and then have to worry about getting it off at the end of the pregnancy or you know what I mean, or like getting in trouble by my doctor and this and that. I was just so worried in my head about it. I think next time I will give myself a little more leeway. I will enjoy the process. I will enjoy foods. I won't, go crazy because obviously I want my baby to be healthy and I want myself to be healthy as well. But I think I will be a little bit less restrictive and a little bit more enjoying of the fact that you can't see when I bloat. So there's that. Another thing I will do the next time I am pregnant, this might sound opposite from what a lot of people do. I will take a lot more bump and belly pictures. I did not take enough, and I want to look back at my pregnancy with Sydney, and there aren't that many pictures of my bump. First of all, I carried pretty tight, and my bump wasn't that big until the end. If you follow my journey, you sort of know my bump wasn't always that big. I feel like I have a bigger belly bump right now than I did when I was 25 weeks pregnant. If I can find that picture, I'm gonna insert it here so you can see what I mean. When I eat a salad, my belly bloats more than that now. But anyway, I totally wish I had taken way more photos when I was pregnant, and just to look back on for myself, not even for social media. But if you look on my Instagram, I don't even know if I have one. I might have one when I was pregnant, but I wasn't really I was very newly into the social media, YouTube, Instagram game. So yeah, it's something that I regret. I just wish I had documented it more. And I did take maternity photos. This is something that shows my self-consciousness. I didn't show them to pretty much anyone because I did not like the way that I looked in them. I felt so bloated and so I retained water in my pregnancy, especially in the end. I retained water. I I was swollen. I was very swollen in my jaw, my face, my legs, my knees were non-existent. My legs just became tree trunks, and so did my ankles. So I was very self-conscious, and I would definitely do my maternity photo session way different. I would pick clothes that I was comfortable in, and I would bring my own clothes as opposed to wearing the clothes that the photographer provided. Just something that I think showcased my bump in a more flattering way to me, like what I was more comfortable in. Other people might think those photos are beautiful, and I think it's beautiful. Like, my body was beautiful. I grew my baby girl in there, but at the same time, I think when you're more comfortable with what you're wearing and how you look, it's even more beautiful because your confidence shows through. Whereas I feel like I wasn't confident in those photos, and it's a little bit of a bummer. I want to look back and, you know, just put a different outfit on that I was more comfortable in, or that was my own clothes, or you know what I mean? I want to put more thought into that as opposed to leaving it up to someone else, knowing that I'm a self-conscious person. So that's something that I totally would do different, is pick my own clothes, take more bump photos. I miss it so much, it's not even funny. And then the next stage is going to be while I was giving birth. If you guys have seen, I'm gonna link like all of these videos down below so we can all reminisce together. If you haven't been following me since the beginning, you haven't seen my pregnancy journey, I will link those videos down below. But if you know about my birth story, my labor was very fast. It was 6 hours from the time my water broke to the time Sydney arrived, and my water broke on its own without contractions at home. And so it was a whirlwind. I wasn't ready. I was 36 weeks and 6 days. It was that night. My water broke at like 8:30 p.m. or something like that. And we rushed to the hospital because I was panicking, thinking I'm gonna have this baby right now, even though I had no contractions, no nothing. So yeah, we just panicked and like fled for the hospital. And while I was in the hospital, everything happened so quickly that I didn't get a chance to, there were no photos taken of me. Maybe there was one photo taken of me when I was in my hospital gown. Like, I wish I had documented it more for myself to go look back on and for Sydney to look back on. I 100% love looking at photos of my mom when she was pregnant, or not that she has a ton, but it's just a nice memory to have. So I wish that I had taken some photos of me just in the hospital and enjoyed it. And I think the moment was so surreal for me that it was just crazy. And then not only that, but I thought I was going to be in labor for a minimum of 12 hours. I wasn't dilated any more than I had been previously. I was still 1 centimeter, maybe 2 centimeters. I can't really remember. 1 or 2 centimeters when I got to the hospital, and like hardly any contractions. I was just having what felt like Braxton Hicks at that point in time. So I thought I was in it for the long haul. So I was just sitting there watching TV and talking, and then before I knew it, it got a little intense and I pushed her out. So I didn't really have a birth plan. Not that birth plans are very, you have to be loose with them anyway because you never know what's gonna happen. I definitely wanted a natural birth, which I got, and I would 100% try to do that again. Some people might be freaked out by this, and some people might say, no way, you're crazy, and then some of you probably already did this. I want to see kind of what was going on down there. I want a mirror. Next time, if I am blessed enough to, you know, have another baby, I want to see what's happening down there. I didn't even think that was really an option to do, and then I've heard of other people doing it, and some people being freaked out and stopping immediately, like, no, take the mirror away, and some people did it, and it was crazy. So obviously I'm up here pushing, no idea what's happening, and Sydney's father was able to watch, and of course I'm a little like, wait a minute, that happened to my body. I gave birth and I don't even know what giving birth looks like. Not that it's pleasant, and you guys might think I'm crazy, but I would ask for a mirror so I could see the process of my baby being born. I think that would be so amazing. And then after birth, you guys, classic new parents, first-time parents, very nervous. I'm a very nervous Nelly, like constantly worried and overthinking everything. So of course, when it came time to breastfeed, I was so nervous. I have a whole video on the first 2 weeks of breastfeeding. I found the first 2 weeks of breastfeeding extremely difficult and extremely tiring and taxing, but I was successful breastfeeding for 16 months with Sydney. So there's that. But in the hospital, our nursing consultant said skin to skin and like just in a diaper is best for breastfeeding and to promote milk production. I took that extremely literal, and yes, she was born 4 pounds 14 ounces, so she was really tiny, and I didn't have any clothes, preemie clothes that actually fit her. I only had, you know, huge newborn clothes at the hospital, but I took it so literal that she didn't even wear clothes basically for the first 2 weeks of her entire life. She was like naked, wrapped up in a swaddle blanket for the first 2 weeks of her life because I was so worried about breastfeeding and milk production that she always had to be naked because basically you were going 45 minutes without breastfeeding because it took so long. You know what I mean if you've breastfed in the beginning. You basically have no break. So my regret with that is I didn't get her, she didn't have a ton of like cute newborn outfits and newborn pictures, and the poor kid didn't wear clothes for the first 2 weeks of her life. Like, that is something I would do different. Clearly, you know, she could have breastfed in a onesie, or I could have, you know, put her in an outfit. I just was so nervous about everything that I took everything so literal. So next time around, I will put my baby in clothing. And also, I didn't put headbands on her for the first, I don't know, for a very long time, probably a month, because I was worried about denting her head. You guys, I'm crazy, I know. And I know they have soft, squishy heads. You don't want to like squish their head. But yeah, I would totally live it up. If I had another girl, I would put, you know, bows and whatnot on their head, or if I have a boy, maybe little hats just to be, you know, adorable. But instead of worrying about, sometimes I was worried about what other people would think, like maybe I'm trying to dress up a doll too much. I don't know. I was a little bit concerned about what, I can't hold you like this, girlfriend. I was a little bit concerned about that, and I don't have a clue why, because I'm not that way at all right now. I don't really care. She's my daughter, and you know. So next time around, I will dress my child in cute, adorable clothing, take many, many, many pictures, and it won't, hopefully it won't interfere with breastfeeding and breast milk production. Another thing that I would do differently is not stress so much about being such a crunchy mom. I felt like if I held her too much during her sleep, well, I didn't really want to hold her I wanted to hold her all the time, but at the same time, I was so exhausted that even if she slept for a half hour in between feedings, I was sleeping a half hour in between feedings or pumping in between feedings. So I really couldn't hold her. But I think that I would hold my baby a whole lot more for naps and snuggles and skin to skin, because that phase goes by so fast. She barely has started to snuggle with me just as of recently. Swear, she's not a snuggler. So I miss that baby snuggle phase so much. And I feel like I didn't take advantage of it enough because I was worried that she was never gonna get used to her bassinet. She was never gonna, you know, sleep on her own. I don't know, I was too just worried that she would never sleep if I disturbed her or if I held her. Not that you can coddle a newborn, because you can't. You actually, it's proven you can't coddle a newborn too much. Like spoil a newborn, what do they say? You can't, is that the word? You know what I mean. Worry a whole lot less about their sleeping or about tiptoeing, and oh my word, don't breathe, because if they wake up, they're never gonna fall back asleep. I'll just try my best. I'm sure I would do that again, like worry about them sleeping, but I was so afraid of her, basically. I was afraid of her waking up and crying that I just didn't live my life. So when Sydney was very young, I was so scared to take her in public, not because of germs, but that was a thing. Obviously she was tiny and she was born in the winter, so that's a thing. If your baby's born in the winter, like, yeah, you're not gonna go out as much because it's pretty cold and it's germ season. But I would try the next time to be a lot less afraid of my baby crying in public. The first time around, and I'm better now, but the first time around I was so worried. If she cried in public, I panicked, I would run. I'm like, but what if she needs to breastfeed? What if I need to change her diaper? Oh my word, if I could just have breathed and let those things go, my life would have been so much less lonely. Just stuck inside the house constantly with a little baby, afraid to go out in public, afraid to go out to eat. I don't think she even went out to a restaurant for the first year of her life. I don't even know. Maybe once or twice ever. I was just too nervous. If she flipped out, cried, she didn't take a pacifier, so I was so worried about that. And I breastfed and breastfeeding in public and how all that works. Not that I care what other people think, but at the same time I kind of did. And then how am I going to cover up? And just I worried so much about how I was going to do all of those things that it kept me inside, and I stayed home and just, instead of exposing her to public situations at an early age, which I think probably would have benefited me and herself as well. She probably would have gotten used to being in public a whole lot more. She's cool now, but she went through a phase where she wasn't. So all in all, I would try to take a big, fat chill pill. All right, you guys, so those are some of the things that I will do differently the next time around. If I am blessed enough to have another child, I will 100% do all of those things differently, I think. Who knows? I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I know it was a little different. I love reminiscing about my pregnancy and giving birth and just the newborn phase of Sydney, but it was all a big blur, and I feel like I just want to go back and relive it again. And as an experienced mom, been through this before, I feel like I'll be able to enjoy it a whole lot more the second time around. You let me know, are you a first-time mom? What are some things you would do differently, or what are some things that you did differently if you have another child? Can you relate to being such a crunchy mom? I'm gonna call it a crunchy mom because I'm kind of that way. So yeah, I don't know. Mirror during birth, is it crazy? Should I do it? What do you think? I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.
Forgot that feeling, the sun in my face, it's so well known.